Ready? Here's the trigger comment. 40 to 60 million Americans have some form of a parasite. You're going to respond, prove it. And my response to that is you can just search it. 40 million Americans and parasites or 60 million Americans and parasites, you can find it, okay? So that is what health organizations are suggesting is the percentage of people or the amount of people in the US have parasites. How do people get parasites? Well, it can be water, so you get bad water, bad food, so the food's not been completely cleaned. I grew up on a ranch in southern Utah, swimming in rivers. I'm sure I was drinking just a crap ton of parasites, right? So I'm sure I got it from that. Pets and animals, right? If you've got pets and animals, those can come in the house. You can get it from soil. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can get parasites, even in the United States of America. What allows parasites to thrive or really do well in the gut? Well, the first thing is a lot of Americans have low stomach acid. So a lot of Americans are blocking stomach acid to deal with reflux and heartburn, but that's a different video. So low stomach acid allows for parasites to get into the system. Bacterial imbalances and fungal issues. So if you have other pathogens thriving in your system, they're going to welcome parasites into the system. That creates an environment for pathogens to thrive. So bacterial imbalances and those things allow parasites to thrive, okay? A weak immune system is going to allow for parasites to do well. So that's a problem. The standard responses that people have to parasites is one, they go take an anti-parasitic. Here's the problem with that. Parasites build biofilms, and those biofilms a lot of the time are what's called mixed species biofilms with bacteria and candida. So an anti-parasitic is not necessarily, or it's not going to go after bacteria and candida. And remember, we know that fungal issues and bacterial issues are going along with parasite issues. So you can get rid of all the parasites with an anti-parasitic. You still need to deal with a bacterial and fungal issue, okay? Next, a lot of people take herbs. So herbs are great, but if you do not get an herb or whatever the hell you're taking, that's going to puncture not only biofilm, but parasite, bad bacteria, and fungal / candida, those type of biofilm together, you're not going to get a complete answer, okay? And then obviously, washing your hands and stuff like that's a good idea. But what do we suggest? Well, one of the rules that we always have at Silver Fern brand, that I'm not going to get into too much detail, but if you have constipation and slow motility issues, we always suggest you do the slow motility plus protocol first. Open detox pathways, open it up, turn the system on, because you can't clean a clogged up system. Okay, so let's assume you don't have that and you're like, I just need to do a cleanup. Here's our proposal. We pair Nano Scrub with Cleanse. Why? Because this unravels everything, and I say unravel because may help unravel everything from parasites all the way through candida, bad bacteria. It's going to puncture biofilm, it'll pop it, it's unraveling it, and it's not doing that to beneficial bacteria. Interestingly enough, beneficial bacteria have a more robust, strong outer coating, and if you use the right amount, the right ppm of this type of Nano Scrub, which is not traditional silver. So please don't compare it to the stuff that makes people blue and that crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's not the same. Not traditional silver, okay? So it doesn't stick in the system, goes through, and it goes through the whole system, and it hits multiple pathogens all the way through the system, which is awesome, which means you're getting a repeat attack action versus what traditional silver does, which is a one and done. Typically silver, when it engages a pathogen, the silver becomes inactive after that. That's what I should have said. That's what I'm allowed to say, okay? So this is the most effective thing we have found for unraveling pathogen buildup. We pair it with Cleanse, which is the most effective binder we have found, because when pathogens pop and unravel, they release toxins like LPS and stuff like that, and you want to bind those. You don't want them to go through the gut barrier. You want to surround it. You want to coat it and soak that crap up, right? This is up to 250% more effective per research. I know people are like, prove it. Send us a DM, I'll send you the damn research. 250% stronger binding action than comparable products similar to it, okay? Which is super good. Does not bind your medications, does not bind nutrients, and does not bind minerals. It also has prebiotic effects, so it's increasing beneficial bacteria. So what are you doing? You're unraveling and breaking apart the bad stuff, and you're helping increase the good stuff. But most importantly, you're cleaning out all the bad stuff without causing a wreck on everything good, okay? Once you are done, then you do probiotics. You don't do probiotics during this process. Why? Because it's not the most effective thing for you to do. It's just not. If your gut was a garden and you were cleaning it up, and probiotics, most traditional lactobacillus bifidobacterium are seeds basically. You would weed the garden and then you would plant seeds. That's the same concept with probiotics. I know the whole world is like probiotics. I'm telling you, in the research, there's no research that shows probiotics more effective than combining these two. And we love probiotics. Our top selling product is a probiotic. It's a gut management probiotic. We love it. You still bring probiotics in after a deep cleanup. You don't bring them in at the same time. It's just not necessary, and it doesn't make any sense. So, what are the rules for a cleanup? 1, if you have slow motility issues, obviously you start with slow motility issues. You don't start with a cleanup. You go unclog the system, and you do the slow motility plus protocol. You turn on the system, laxative free. If you're on acid blockers, you ease off of all that. You turn the system on, and then you move into a cleanup, okay? Number 2, you go slow. A lot of people are really worried about a cleanup. If you are really worried about the discomfort associated with a cleanup, the answer is not to clean up. You don't just like, well, I'm just not going to ever clean up my gut because I don't want to be uncomfortable. That's not a good option, okay? I mean, let's be honest. That's not smart. So what is the answer? You just go slow. That's always the answer. You can start with 1 capsule a day and 1/4 a teaspoon. Just ease up. Even though the protocol's like, start with 2 and work up 4. You don't have to do that. You can start with 1 and work up. You can start with 1/4 of a teaspoon, okay? Start slow and work up. Now, will this delay the full length of time of the cleanup? Sure, but is it still a good play? I think so. So we have 2 different options. One is mild, one is moderate to severe. So here's the rules on Nano Scrub. You rinse it in your mouth for 15 seconds before you swallow. Your microbiome starts in your mouth. You want to go all the way down, right? Right. So you start with Nano Scrub and you rinse with it on an empty stomach. Here's the dosing. You can start as low as 1/4 of a teaspoon, and you can go up to 6 teaspoons a day. I would strongly suggest you do not take it with food, so there's nothing interfering with it on the way down, and you take it multiple times throughout the day, rinse for 15 seconds and swallow. That's most effective, okay? And like I said, if you do the moderate to severe protocol, you're getting 3 bottles. That allows you to work up to 6 teaspoons a day. And if you're going to clean up the gut, you might as well damn well do it right the first time, right? Cleanse. You can start with 1 capsule. You can go all the way up to 8 in the morning, 8 at night. Hell, if I get food poisoning for any reason, because I like to go eat out, try new places like dives and stuff like that. If I get any diarrhea or discomfort, you can't overdose on cleanse. If you have really bad constipation, you want to do that, but you can take a lot, and it's super effective, okay? So start low and go slow, but you can build up. The protocol goes up to 4 in the morning, 4 at night. Can you take more than that? Sure. Can you adjust the dosing? If you feel uncomfortable at any time, can you reduce the dosing, drop it down, and then slowly build back up again? Of course, right? Is this effective? Yeah, this is the most effective way we have found to do a complete A to Z cleanup of the system, right? If you have any questions, obviously you can reach out. Obviously, I'm not filtered. I'm not going to throw out bullshit to people. That's not my personality, okay? This is what it is because this is what we found to be most successful. I can sell any product, meaning I could have bought anything and added anything. It's just this is what we found to be more successful than other things. It's not to say that herbs aren't good, and it's not to say that those other things probably aren't beneficial, and I don't want to get into an argument on people like, well, oregano's amazing. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's great. I'm just telling you this is what we find to be most effective. If you have questions, let us know. Reach out to us. Thanks. Bye.